Hi guys, and welcome to yet another very exciting tutorial of Premiere Pro, and in this tutorial we will be talking about playback and render times, or render in the real time. So what are these things? Well, as your project gets complicated and bigger, so you need to then pay attention to these things. For example, you have a lot of footage in your project, and they all have certain effects applied to them. Then it takes a lot of hour out of your computer or processor and your software to render them out in the real time, and sometimes they might drop frames when you are watching them or previewing them. So in order to make sure that you don't drop frames or you don't miss a frame, what you can do is go to this wrench icon and show this. Actually, I had already turned that on. I just turned it off. Go to this option which says show dropped frame indicator. When you click on this little bulb appears in your program monitor, and what does this frame does? When you hover your cursor over it, it says that how many frames were dropped while viewing a certain clip or certain part of a footage. If the frames are dropped, then it tells you the number of frames that have been dropped or missed. So I have set a project, and in every set there are a number of different amount of frames or clips, and everyone has different effects applied to them. The first one is 1 clip, the other one is 2 clips, this one is 3 clips, and this one is 6 clips or 6 footages in it. So we're gonna view them all and see if this green bulb turns into yellow. If it turns yellow, then that means you are dropping frame or your software is dropping frames while you are watching them in the program monitor. In the final output, they might render perfectly. If you go to file and export, they might function properly. But if you are showing someone a preview of the final output, the quality might not be as good as the final output. And every time I think it's not an option to render out the full project and then show it to your client or your boss, and if something is wrong with it, then you have to render it or tweak it from the start. That is a problem. And so people or programmers or graphic designers, what they do is they choose to pre-render these things in here and show it to their bosses or their clients, and it's of the same quality. But the problem with the final output and this sort of rendering or watching or playback is that in this playback, certain frames might get dropped off and the quality might not be as good as the final output. So to make sure that you do not drop any frames and the quality is as good as the final output that the client would be getting, you can apply certain tricks that I will tell you in this tutorial. So first of all, let us see if we drop any frames. Then I will talk about these lines or these footages and what does they mean. Okay, let's play them. Okay, that's enough. Okay, now as I hover my cursor over this green bulb, it tells me that no frames were dropped while we were watching that. Now let's watch this. There are 2 footages and both of them have certain effects applied to them. Let's watch, and okay, stop. As you can see, it also again tells me that no frames have been dropped and we are good to go. The yellow almost always the yellow line. Well, let's talk about it later. First of all, let's watch all of the lines. This has 3 clips and all 3 have different effects applied to them. Let's watch them and see if frames drop off. As you can see, again, the frames are not been dropped and 0 frames have been dropped. Everything has been rendered or played perfectly. Now let's go to the big one where there are 6 clips in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all have different effects applied to them. Let's see if any frames are dropped. Because we have the red line here, it is also an indicator of something bad might happen. Okay, Well, as you can see, my computer is very powerful, and it depends on your computer also and the amount of RAM that you have in your computer. No frames were dropped. Even I had 6 footages rendered in here or played in here, and they all have effects applied to them, and even some of them have more than one effects applied to them. But if you do not have as powerful computer as mine, you might experience that the drop of frames may occur. But if they do occur and this bulb turns into a yellow and it tells you that 40 or 30 frames have been dropped while you are playing back, you can easily fix them by going into sequence and then choosing one of these two options. One is the render effects in to out, and the other is render in to out. Okay, the difference between these two is that the first one only renders the red line areas where there is a risk of frames drop. There is no risk on the green because this place I have already rendered it. Once this red line is rendered, it will also turn into green. Okay, there is no risk. And there is also no risk in this yellow line. The yellow line means that the computer and the software will have to work a little bit harder, but there is still no risk of dropping any frames, or the effects might not take its place. But in the red, there is about 10 to 5% or something less chance that things might go wrong and the effects might not be applied perfectly, or frames might get dropped off. So that's what the red line means. But once you render it, then what happens that this red line turns into green one. The first one, if you choose this option, it only renders this area, it leaves all this. But if you choose the second one, which means render in to out, it renders the whole project. It leaves the already rendered part, but it renders the yellow and the red and everything then turns into yellow. Okay, now first of all, I'm gonna choose a little area in here because I don't want to render everything. I'm gonna choose in and out font, a small one, like this. I already told you how to select in and out font in the source monitor in the timeline by the hotkeys in the keyboard, I and O. Okay, now let's go and render this part. Okay, it's rendering. Okay, it has 279 frames to go. It depends on the complexity of your footage, what sort of footage you got in there, how many of them are there, and how many effects are applied, and also the power of your computer. Sometimes computers lag and they cannot perform, but these rendering options that are available in Premiere Pro, they are for this specific purpose. Do not be afraid or shy of using them. They are there for the same reason, and you do not have to upgrade your computer every time a software is lagging. Okay, our render is about to be done, and as you can see, now I'm going to stop this. Of course, our footage was not lagging or dropping any frames before, and it is not dropping any part, but the place that I rendered, and that red line is also now turned into green. So that's it for this tutorial, guys. I hope you learned how to render your playbacks in the program monitor and how to use it to your advantage, and how to save time, and also how to see the final render output footage and what will be the final result of your project without rendering the whole project, or without rendering your project to the hard disk and then starting from the scratch again. Okay, so this is the way how to handle playbacks and renders in the program monitor. So I hope you enjoyed it and learned something in this tutorial. I will see you hopefully in the next tutorial. Till then, goodbye.